Floor of that building.
The police lock down the building. But it's too late. Oswald has already left the scene.
What he did was walk right on out the front door and walk up Elm Street, and he got on a bus.
But he doesn't get far.
And Stemmons and cut all traffic for them.
They had blocked the intersection at Elm and Houston completely. There was no traffic moving in it at all.
Impatient, Oswald gets off the bus. Several blocks away, he finds a cab.
500 North Beckley. Yes, sir.
And quietly slips away. Captain Will Fritz, head of the Homicide Bureau, arrives at the depository building. His team was not assigned to the parade route. A mistake the Secret Service would later admit.
After we got up there, Forrest Sarles, the head of the Secret Service, came in. The first thing he said to Captain Fritz, he said, "Captain Fritz, I just want you to know, as long as I'm in charge here, you and your men will never be cut out of another parade."
Captain Fritz takes over the search for the assassin. Clad in their signature white Stetsons, he and his detectives are the hotshots of the department.
We became known as the Cracker Jacks simply because of the quick time that we had solving a murder. And even if we didn't make the arrest, we had figured out who it was. And so we had quite a reputation for that.
Now, it's up to them to solve the crime of the century. "1 p.m., 30 minutes after the shooting. At Parkland Memorial Hospital, surgeons pronounce that President Kennedy is dead. Meanwhile, having slipped past the police at Dealey Plaza, Lee Oswald arrives at his apartment in Oak Cliff. He's there only minutes, long enough to grab a jacket and a .38 caliber revolver.
Then he walked 9/10 of a mile up to 10th Street where he turned east and was walking a pretty fast clip down 10th Street when Tippit come cruising along.
What's going on? Signal 19 involving the president.
Officer J.D. Tippit. Like other Dallas patrolmen, he travels alone.
They've used a .30 caliber rifle. They used to be in the old school.
When Tippit sees Oswald, he calls into the dispatcher.
550 car 2.
But there's no answer. A witness across the street sees him slowly pull up and call to the man.
Excuse me, sir. Can you step towards the car, please? Keep your hands where I can see them.
He doesn't know it, but Tippit is face to face with Kennedy's assassin. It has been 41 minutes since the president was shot. Officer J.D. Tippit has stopped Lee Oswald.
Sir, I'm going to have to step out of the vehicle and ask you a couple questions.
An eyewitness across the street can see them talk, but can't hear the conversation.
Well, I can tell you just about what he asked him. I've done the same thing 1,000 times, looking for somebody, and I see somebody on the street that looks similar to what I want.
Please have your identification available. Do whatever you need to do, officer.
Few could have predicted Oswald's next move.
He killed him! He killed him!
The woman locks eyes with the killer. It's a face she won't forget. Other witnesses see Oswald run down Patton Street.
Hey, man! What the hell is going on?
In 45 minutes, Oswald has killed the president and made it brutally clear he's willing to kill again to avoid capture. Disregard any other assignment you have and remain in that location. Detective Elmer Boyd and other homicide officers are searching the top floor of the book depository building when an important discovery is made.
We got up all the way to the 7th floor, and someone called down and said they had found some empty shell casings down on the 6th floor.
At the southeastern corner, a stack of boxes forms a shield around the window that overlooks Elm Street. The sniper's nest. Below lie 3 spent shell casings in a brown paper bag, but no murder weapon. The men scatter to find it. Oak Cliff. A man named Temple Bowley and his daughter discover the slain body of the Dallas police officer killed by Oswald.
Turned onto the street and noticed a police car and the officer laying by it. So I parked a good ways back because I didn't want my 12-year-old daughter to see it. Got out and went up there, and there was a fella trying to use the radio, and he didn't know how.
Do you know how to use this thing?
I'd had a CB radio in my car for a long time.
Hello, police operator.
So I knew how to use the radio, and I called in and gave him the location.
Between Marcellus and Beckley, look, it's a police officer. He's been shot.
Across Dallas, the devastating news rings out through every squad car and police office with a radio.
Somebody shot him. What's this? 410th Street.
There was chatter on the police radios. Some citizen had called in to say that a police officer was down in Oak Cliff having been shot. And in those days, in 1963, you did not shoot police officers.
It's really hard. You just really don't know what to think about what has just happened or what you're hearing.
Well, you know, Tippett and I were real close, and I knew a lot about Tippett, you know. The lady said J.D. got out of his car, and he reached up and straightened his, squared his hat on it, which he always did that. That's one thing. As soon as he got out of his squad car, he would reach up and square his hat on his head. And said when he was doing that, well, Oswald pulled out his pistol and shot him across the hood of the car.
Not only is their friend dead, the killer is still at large. At the book depository, 2 sheriffs make a huge discovery. Shoved between 2 stacks of boxes, they find a foreign-made infantry rifle equipped with a telescopic sight. There's little doubt in their minds. This is the gun that killed Kennedy. Then, another breakthrough.
The captain got a hold of Mr. Truly and asked him to do a head count on all of his employees, and Oswald was the only one missing. So the captain said, well, I want to talk with that man. Let me have his address.
Within 60 minutes of the shooting, Dallas police have found the sniper's nest, the shells, the rifle. They've got a description of the suspect, and now they have a name.
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
1 hour after the shooting, the public hears that President Kennedy is dead. At Love Field, the new president, Lyndon Johnson, prepares to bring Kennedy's body back to Washington. Oak Cliff, 5 blocks from where Officer Tippett lies dead. John Brewer hears police sirens outside his shoe store.
Just as I was fixing to step outside, this person walks into the recessed area of my shoe store and was not looking toward the street. He actually wasn't really looking at anything. He was just standing there. It was obvious that he was trying to avoid being noticed or detected or for whatever reason. I'm thinking, we know there's really something wrong with this picture here. There's something's not right. So I stepped out. and I watched him as he walked away.
Then, Oswald makes another strange move. He quickly ducks into a movie theater without buying a ticket.
So I walked on up toward the Texas Theater.
Did you see that guy that just came in?
And I asked Julie Postal, who was the cashier, we knew each other, did you just sell a ticket to this person? And I described him. And she said no, that she had been out on the sidewalk herself.
As Oswald disappears inside, Julia Postal calls the Dallas police. It's the big break they've been waiting for.
I got back to my car radio and they told us to report to the back of the theater.
More than a dozen policemen swarm the Texas Theater. The man who murdered the president and their fellow officer is within their grasp. Dallas, Texas. 78 minutes after an assassin shot President Kennedy. Dallas police officers surround the Texas Theater. Hiding inside is the man they believe killed one of their own.
I was back behind the stage by the exit to the alley behind the theater. Then I hear this noise outside. I open the door to the alley, and the policeman grabbed me and held a, I think it was a shotgun. It was pretty big, whatever it was, you know, at me.
It's not me, I'm not the guy. Stand up.
John Brewer leads the policeman on stage and points to the man he's been following. Lee Oswald.
We all started looking to see what we could see, and Officer McDonald went up the left side, I went up the right aisle with Officer Walker and Officer Hudson.
The entire time, Oswald is just sitting there, observing, I guess, or deciding what the hell he's fixing to do.
More police and reporters start to fill the lobby as Officer Nick McDonald keeps an eye on Oswald.
The police were coming in from the screen area up the 2 aisles, and as Nick came up,
Get on your feet.
he encountered Oswald, and then it set off a struggle.
I'm within 10, 12 feet of this. Oswald reaches with his right hand under his shirt and pulls out this revolver that was tucked into his belt.
McDonald grabs for the pistol. Oswald pulls the trigger. But incredibly, the gun misfires.
McDonald, fortunately, got his hand in the firing mechanism, saved his life.
I can still see it whenever I think about it. Thinking I was lucky not that he had decided to shoot us. Probably he could shot any of us at that time.
What are you doing, Mr. Craig?
They had him cuffed up and was headed out toward me.
I'm not resisting arrest.
He looked me square in the eye. I don't even know why. I guess probably he knew I was the one that, brought this all about here. But he started hollering out, "I'm not resisting arrest." I'm thinking, yeah, you are. You really are.
You do have a suspect arrested in the Texas Theater? We had a shooting of a police officer, which was DOA at Methodist. The suspect has been apprehended in Texas Theater en route to state.
In just 88 minutes, the Dallas Police Department has its man, perhaps the most notorious killer in American history.